What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP, and this is my co-host, Josh.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of the FilmBros podcast.
Hey, guys. Welcome back. This was a little different. It's our 100th episode. If you guys didn't notice or were keeping track, we kind of hit a little milestone.
Yeah. And what a milestone this is. 100 episodes. It's been like about a half a year since we started it, 6 months. This one will be a little different because it is a big milestone. I don't think we ever did an episode where we just kind of sat here, talked about ourselves, talked about our love for movies, what kind of drives us in this space, what we kind of want out of it, and what we hope to expect from you guys out there listening to us as well. I think everybody is different within this space. I've heard a couple other people who do podcasting and do this kind of things, and I feel like everybody's reason is different to have started a channel, a podcast, anything like that. And that's because they really want to share their love and enthusiasm for film or whatever cinema, whatever you guys call it, with the world, with everybody else, and hopefully shine some light on some movies or what some people call art. Film is art, subjective art.
Yeah.
And so subjective. Exactly. So, maybe shine a light to movies that people never really thought about, and then they give it a chance and they're like, wow, like it's actually superb,
Yeah, this is actually my cup of tea type shit.
Yeah, so episode 100, we made it to 100 episodes. Me and Josh, we've been doing this, sitting in this studio every day, to having these conversations, talking about the new things that happen, give reviews for movies that we watch. You guys get a little insight on how we do things. We're not perfect yet. We're getting there. We're building up our way of talking and our way of discussing things within our podcast. If you guys have been listening since the very beginning, you guys may notice some growth since then. Sure. Obviously some audio differences. Obviously, the big things that that we had to change in order to make it a little bit more professional. Professional. So what I want to know from you, first off, and I guess this is the best way to get started, and before we get into this, the way this is going to be kind of formatted, I got some pre-questions at the end. At the back end, we got some fun questions, but in the beginning, we're going to be talking about ourselves a little bit more. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. You guys are about to get a little bit of insight in both of us. So, Josh, first things first, what was the film you loved most?
But real quick, before we get into that, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, ZippyStream.
Today's episode is sponsored by ZippyStream. If you are wondering how we make money to run our podcast, it's all because of this innovative platform. Here at FilmBros Podcast, we absolutely love using ZippyStream. It's the easiest way to convert listeners into an email list, but best of all, they find us sponsorship so we can keep making money doing what we love.
Suppose you're also a podcaster thinking about starting one. ZippyStream will help you find and manage a relationship with brands that are relevant to your audience. If you want to learn more, contact us as soon as possible. Everyone that signs up this month will get to claim £10 as a joining bonus, which is around $12 or something like that.
Just reach out to us by email or social media DMs, and I'll put you in touch with the guys at ZippyStream right away. Now back to the pod.
Film I love most. That's a good question. I like a lot of movies.
What is the one that you watched as a kid and you were just like, this movie is something that I love.
It's everything. It's my bread and butter.
Yes, and you watched it every single day because you just could not stop.
Okay. So I'm gonna explain it, and then I'm gonna explain
the reason why.
Okay, yeah. So obviously you should know it's Spider-Man. It's the first one. Sam Raimi's Tobey Spider-Man, the first one, right? I grew to love the second one a little bit more, but the first one was it. Like, even to this day, it still has like a little attachment to me because I go back and revisit it often. But you know, I had that one on repeat all the fucking time, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just Maybe it's just because it was action. You know, I still am heavy into Spider-Man, but that was it. You know. But what about you? Did you have one?
Yeah. The movie that I loved and had on repeat at all times, and as a kid, it was just so unbelievable and out of this world. And you know, when you watch movies, you kind of want them to run your imagination, and you know, just you want to sit there as a kid and be like, I wish I was that person, I wish I was doing those things. Mm-hmm. And that movie was The Iron Giant.
Ooh, okay.
That movie was on repeat all the time. I love that movie. It was crazy for me to find out later on that Vin Diesel plays the Giant. I was just like, that was a mind-blown experience. But that movie, till this day, I love it. I wound up buying the hardcover, the 4K physical one. It's great. It looks immaculate. I love it. It's precious to me. That movie, to me, was the movie that I couldn't get out of my head. And every single time I thought about Superman, I thought about the robot. If I thought about, you know, a lonely kid on a lonely day, if I skipped school or stayed at home because I was sick, I was putting on that movie and I was watching it all the time. That movie right here, near and dear in my heart. I can never get rid of that movie.
Understandable.
What was a film, or how old were you when you got into film? Like, not obviously everybody had those movies as a child that you rewatched. Obviously, as you grew up, you learned to appreciate them a little bit more. But what is the one film that made you think, damn, this is a movie. This is a movie, and this is what movie standards should be. And I just want, like, if it doesn't meet this, it's kind of just like, damn, it missed the mark.
That's another good question. I think I can't give you an age because I can't really remember when I first saw this movie. But when I was old enough to understand it, it all started to click. But Goodfellas. It was Goodfellas.
Okay.
I was young watching that one because, you know, it was shown to us before, but I can't really give you an age about when that sort of thing sort of clicked. But I know once I was old enough to understand it, and like how camera work happens, how actors are like Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, and Robert De Niro all kind of have that chemistry. I think that was when I was like, oh yeah, this movie is like the standard. Like, yeah, you know, comic book movies try to hit that mark, but
yeah,
that is a movie.
I kind of feel like a lot of older mob movies really were ahead of its time when it came to camera work and stuff like that. I thought they always did something different when they, you know, when you had those scenes. I think one of the first scenes where they had the camera in the trunk and the trunk opens and then, you know, you see them put the body in or whatever and they close it. It wasn't like The Godfather, I believe, which is a mob movie, you know. So it was very, mob movies are always interesting in my opinion. Mob movies are always interesting. For me, I think I got into movies like saying like, oh, this is peak and this is like bad. I want to say like around 10, 11, or like right before teenage years. It took me a while to like understand that movies had meanings. You know what I mean? I never understood that until I believe it was, what movie was it? I think it was Panic Room. No, not Panic Room. It was a different movie. It was like a trapped movie. I'm trying to think what it was called, but it was a movie where like I get this. When I was younger, I always thought like, oh, when you signed up for movies and like you died in those movies or something, like that was it. It was to my surprise where later on I was like, what? I thought he died in that movie, so why is he in this movie? Yeah. So I was like, that was kind of eye popping. Oh, you know which one that I want to say really got me kickstarted? It had to be like Resident Evil. I had to say, because I think around 10 or 11, like I really was starting to get into the horror side of movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, what is this? Like, it had blood, gore, all that stuff, and I was just like, what is this? And the very first with Mila Djokovic, I believe that's her name. What's her name was in there too? Michelle Rodriguez. She was in the first Resident Evil as well.
Yeah.
I think that was the one that really made me think like, there's a standard for movies, and at the time the CGI wasn't really there for that movie, so I was like, okay. And I would watch a different movie, and I was like, all right, so there's a standard for movies, and I thought Resident Evil was like the good point for, like, at the time at least, for good basic movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somewhat good CGI. Obviously, at the time, it wasn't really that good. I think if you watch it today, it doesn't really age too well, but at the time, it was a good base. You know what I mean? And then from there on, depending on where your base is, and Resident Evil is where my base is kind of sits at. I know you said Goodfellas is where yours sits at. Resident Evil is like a good base, and it really makes you think like, wow, like you can have better than this, and you can have worse than this, but this is where, like,
this is it.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like because it's been a minute since I've seen the first one, so it's like a balance between not just action and good storytelling, but like that horror element. See, so it was kind of interesting because that's where your balance is at, and mine kind of revolves around like characters, their situations, and how camera work plays into it all. Because my favorite scene from Goodfellas is the one where spoiler alert if you haven't seen Goodfellas, you gotta check it out. But Ray Liotta is taking his girlfriend at the time, and they're walking through the hallway into the club, and the camera work is just one long shot, and he's like dabbing everyone up before getting to the table. Like, one continuous shot like that had me hooked, and I was like, see, so it's all a balance, and it's kind of interesting to see where your line is and my line.
You want to know what scene got me hooked for Resident Evil? Was the scene where they were in that one hallway, and the lasers were cutting through everybody.
Oh yeah.
And like the way the lasers moved around and how they showed their emotions without saying anything. The guys that were inside, especially the actor, I can't remember his name right now. The black dude that was in there that kind of lasted the longest.
Yeah.
The way he showed his emotions, and even when the lasers were coming through, it was just, I think that scene was really great. And I think it is interesting thinking about it now, like where our baselines are, because I think that yours is very grounded, like behind the scenes camera work, stuff like that, and where mine's is kind of like imagination, where what could be brought to life, what can where the boundaries can be pushed and stuff like that. And I think that's interesting. Good insight.
That's what I was saying, because I was like, well, mine is more grounded in the sense that like mob stuff has happened. You know what I mean? Like like it's not like Goodfellas is based on a true story. I don't know how much of it is in the movie that's true, but it's based on a true story. And then, well, yeah, like you said, yours is like imaginative, and like it's fun to like look at that.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great, like, for me, I guess imagination's key, and you gotta have that imagination. But you also have to have that imagination for the camera work and how you're gonna do it, because that one shot scene all the way through, you had to figure out how they were gonna pass by the people and get the camera through it until you get to that point.
Yep.
I really like the whole clown scene in that part too, where he's like, "What? Do you think I'm a clown?"
Yeah. So
excuse me.
Writing and all that goes a long way too.
Oh yeah, obviously, love it. So, all that aside, right? Let's start getting into the what kind of got us into this, right?
Okay.
What is the movie that, or let's say, what got you started? I know both of us have a similar motivation, right? We love movies. Movies are art, and it could be tailored to anybody, right? You can have movies for women, movies for men, action, romance, a mixture, action comedy, you know what I mean, or action romance and stuff like that. Like, there's so many genres.
Yeah.
Like, what got you started within this space? Like, what made you want to sit right here across from me talking to a mic and
break down this stuff
and want to pass this art around to others and make it more known to people?
Just to share my love for movies, you know what I mean? Because and like going through. I know I've been out of high school for like 2 years now, something like that. But all throughout my career in high school, like my whole thing was movies. You know what I mean? Like I went to classes for it, and then when I was doing the whole the tech theater stuff, like the behind the scenes shit is my shit. So like it was just kind of feeling that thing, and then I got into that program where I got to learn the Adobe and all this and that. But it all sort of clicked, and then I was like, well, I love movies so much, just the emotion it brings, and then the technical side, the camera work, how writing happens, how actors can portray that writing, but not without a good director to direct them for that writing. So it all kind of blended together, and I was like, well, I got to share this with somebody, and then obviously we share that. So
yeah. Well, on my side, what made me kind of be like, man, I really want to get into this, and what I really wanted to shine a light on is not only the behind the scenes part, like how you're saying your half, maybe this I think it's funny because I think it's how like we bounce off each other, but I really like that imaginative side, right? That imagination. How does this movie look? You hear me talk a lot about CGI, and I talk about the Flash and how the CGI really throws me off, and even for the TV shows, and that all comes down to if it's pulling me into that world, you know what I mean? And I want to be able to show people those movies that make you go into that space, not just sit there and just because I've been in movies where I'm just watching. I think no hate if you guys like this movie, but The Fault in Our Stars, I really hated it. It wasn't good, and I was just sitting there like, this, they don't even try to bring you into the movie. They're just trying to tell you what's going on, and it's like, no, like you really need to be pulled into the experience. And I one thing for this podcast that I want to do, to bring to people is that experience. Pull people into this experience, between the talking between us, and into the experience of movies, if they can pull you in visually and with the words they say, can it captivate you, then that's when art actually strikes, in my opinion. And I think that's when, because anybody can look at a painting and just be like, it's just another painting, but only a few of them can look at it and be like, it could be captivating. They could see it and be like, this is fucking real. You know what I mean? So I guess that's what kind of, did you want to add it to anything that kind of got you started as well, or?
Well, okay. Well, just so I don't sound too technical, like, because I like the imaginative side too. You know what I mean? But my thing is more of like the brains behind that, So it's like,
what makes it work?
Yeah. What, like, how, like, for example, well, I'm gonna use Avatar. What was James Cameron thinking when he was like, man, how do we make these blue people look real? So he was like, well, we get them in bodysuits, and then you have them react to things that giant 10-foot people would react to. So like, the water isn't really water, it's someone pouring it and then someone holding a leaf, but it's like 10 feet in the air, because that's where the head's gonna be. So it's like imagining that, but putting it into action is really interesting to me too.
And how it translate, right?
Exactly.
How it translate, because you can tell, like, with some projects, and this is where that technical and that imagination meet in the middle, right? If you cannot make that technical part realistic, it's not going to translate into realism. That's why, like, some movies come out looking bland or dull, and CGI don't work. That's why back in the day when they used to, I think it was like the early 2000s, and I sound like a grandpa saying it like that, but like the early 2000s is where, like, they really experimented with practical and CGI. It wasn't all just like a volume screen. You know what I mean? It was like they really had to morph the two, and you've seen all that trial and error with Aliens 3. A lot of movies coming out in the 2000s, there was a lot of trial and error, and I think that's where it kind of paved the way, where it's not even, a lot of the stuff's not even practical anymore. A lot of the stuff is just to that point where it's like, how can we put this suit on this person and put them in the water to make that realism? Because as the times come by, as the time goes by, The Rock in The Mummy 2 is not gonna cut it. You know what I mean?
Man,
At this time and age, it's not gonna cut it. So how can they be innovative? How can they improve? How can they make art more digestible in the modern era.
Which is funny that you mentioned that, because some stuff still ends up kind of looking like The Rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you would think
the Flash movie.
You think we'd be beyond that? I was thinking Quantumania with MODOK.
Yeah, that as well.
But you know what I mean? Like those are just examples of it also resulting to that, which you would think would be past, but some people like to, not saying who, like really like to cake on CGI. So
yeah, cake on, and the volume, for what it's worth, does wonders.
It does,
but
in the right hands.
And in the right hands, yes. If you don't know how to use the volume, I know it's experimental, and I know it's new, so I know a lot of directors that use it are the ones that are basically the guinea pigs. You know what I mean? So other ones are gonna, just basically see them and be like, what not to do, what to do type stuff. So eventually it'll get better. Mm-hmm. But we're in that weird era where it's like, is it too much? Is it too little? Yeah. When can we use it? When can't we? You know what I mean? So, yeah, but I like that. But that's what I mean, though. That's why I say, and I always told you before we even, got this started, is that's why I feel like our dynamic is pretty good, because you think of it from that technical side. And yes, you have that imagination too, but it's can't be good at everything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like I don't want people thinking like I'm dull or anything, but like that's just how my brain works. You know what I mean? Like, what are the steps that get Superman to fly? You know what I mean? That's my big thing about
cable wires and some strong hands.
Honestly, like, man, but yeah.
All right, Cavill, suck it in, suck it in, light as a feather. So, with that, what is one of the first movies that you analyzed? The movie that you looked at and was like, movies can be bad. So bad to the point where you can, figure out every single step of the way. Where you're sitting there throughout the movie and you're just like, that's about to happen. He's going to die. That's about to be tossed over there.
I think.
Oh, that's not going to scare me because I see that coming.
Yeah, so actually it's funny you mentioned that, because I started breaking down horror movies very quickly.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's a cheap shot. That's a cheap shot. Low key.
Well, no, okay, but that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know me. I'm not a big horror person, and if I can see it coming, I'm not gonna be scared about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, it's rare for me to be like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that was my first thing. I was like, the music stopped here. It's gonna be a jump scare, so mentally prepare for that. And then the jump scare happens, and you're like, oh, I saw it coming. What else now?
Yeah.
And then that was one of my first things. And then outside of horror, just to be fair, the first movie I broke down officially was Night and Day with Cameron Diaz and Tom Cruise. It was that one. And, it wasn't so much of like this is going to happen. It's more of like, so I can know the structure of action movies and how it's supposed to go. Because this is something we learned back in class.
Yeah, first act, second act, third act.
Mm-hmm. And so that's when I was like, okay, most movies now I don't really analyze like that, because it kind of gets annoying when you kind of sit there and nitpick everything.
Yeah.
But I could do it. I could totally be like, this isn't supposed to be there. This was supposed to happen in Act 2 or whatever. Just because, I learned that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that with every movie. But the first movie I broke down was Night and Day.
I think if you get too technical like that, that's when you lose the imagination.
Yeah. Like, I'm technical, but I'm not going to nitpick other people's
It's good
movies.
to still have a little imagination when you go into movies. Because, if you go into art expecting to nitpick it, you're never going to be satisfied.
Like if
there's always going to be something wrong.
Yeah, like if you're watching Fast and Furious movies and you're like, but a car can't really do that. But a car can't do this, and you're boring. You're boring. You're basically,
car can't go into space.
You're basically like taking yourself out of it. Like, why would you want to do that?
And a good example is that, you could say Fast and the Furious, kind of like this new installment that had just came out, the 9th one, where Roman kind of made it known in the movie, like, hey, we just don't die. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of made it known within the movie, and then it just ruined the whole movie, at least for me. You know what I mean?
It ruined it for me too.
Yeah, like
the fact they wrote that joke in twice ruined it for me.
Yeah, it's like, and then it really points it out, like, yeah, these guys really aren't getting hurt. So what is the consequences to these people?
Exactly.
And so that's where that comes from. You know what I mean?
It makes, so like, you could totally nitpick every movie, but that's just boring.
Yeah,
like,
you got to have some kind of imagination.
Yeah.
Like I tell you, like, you got to be able to suspend your disbelief. And only movies can make you do that, right? Like
Yeah.
movies have to be able to pull you, like I told you, captivate,
Yeah.
pull you in with the visuals, with the words, and then you are able to suspend that disbelief for that world. You know, if as long as you set rules. But same thing with that movie, Free Guy. You know, in the beginning I thought there were stakes, but towards the end when things started going bonkers against the wall, it was just like, well, nothing actually
it doesn't
matters.
matter
Yeah. So I mean, though I love the movie,
yeah.
it wasn't as blatant as Furious 9 or whatever it's called, the 9th installment. But yeah, that's interesting.
You know,
interesting.
Because even going back to that, like it was all cool, and you know, I can do that with Fast and Furious movies. Like like if you really want to, like I think I've said this before, if you really want to break it down, it's a movie about family and that connection. But if you start going into detail about, well, a car can't reach that much speed or whatever, you're like, okay. And then back to Fast 9, what do you call it? Right before that scene, I think, where he's like, oh, we don't die. What do you call it? Toretto literally does that whole thing with the car and the, like, swinging it across to the rock or whatever. He does that. And you're like, ooh, that looks cool. And then just for Roman to be like, well, we don't die. Twice. He said it twice.
Yeah.
And that's when they pull you back and you're like, damn, I'm just watching another action movie. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
it's not fun knowing John Wick can't get shot or die, you know?
Exactly.
Like you need that stake for me to be like, this looks intense.
Oh, like he gets hurt, you know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
gets knocked on his ass type shit. Yeah. How people get smashed into cars, get ran over, but still survive and no cuts.
Exactly.
Fast and the Furious is wild.
Crazy shit.
I wish I lived in that
like,
universe.
Like the Fast 5. Like I know I'm shitting on them, but I love these movies, so don't come at me. But like in Fast 5, when Dominic jumps the car to grab Letty through the freeway, is that Fast 5? Fast 6.
Fast 6.
When he does it, and then he grabs her and saves her, but his T-shirt is white as fuck, and he's no blood, no nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like damn, you just
the glass didn't even penetrate his back.
How you do that? Like, like in Superman.
He's Groot.
Man, but
you
know, like that's what I'm saying. Like you could just nitpick it, but it's not as fun. But those were my two movies. It was horror movies and then Night and Day.
Yeah, I would say the first movie that really made me analyze and nitpick and just be like, and it's funny because it was on a random like fucking Wednesday when I was homesick and I was just like, I want to watch a movie, right? I was like, I want to watch a movie. I don't care what it is. I just wanted to see it. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to put on a Nicolas Cage movie. I watched 2 Nicolas Cage movies that day.
That's funny.
It was very bad. It was Drive Angry.
Okay.
And The Knowing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Those movies are terrible. And those movies, like, love-hate relationship because they were the first ones that I kind of analyzed, both of them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, these movies are just so bad. I was like, what was Nick Cage thinking? Like,
man.
Like, you didn't even, like, they just came with him with a script and he was like, yes.
Well, back in
yes.
John Travolta, Nicolas Cage he does a lot of interesting movies. You know what I mean? And nothing you'd really talk about. Like I don't hear no one talking about Renfield. You know what I mean? He just shows up.
Yeah,
he just shows up and does.
Yeah,
things.
and there's some movies that where it actually nails. Like there's one with Jodie Foster he did. That was like straight to streaming, and it was actually not that bad. Like there's some hitters with it,
he
but
does good.
Yeah,
when he wants to.
But there's a couple of them where you're just like, why?
He's chasing the check. You know what I mean? Like there's no way.
Is he just like, yeah, I can make this work. I'm Nick Cage, baby. Like you know what I mean? Like it's weird.
Doesn't make much
sense.
Sense.
Those 2 movies were kind of like the ones that I was just like, oh shit. Like first of all, that Drive Angry one was like bad CGI, terrible premise. I liked the song at the very end of the movie. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty good. But everything else in between was just kind of like, what the fuck? Like everything you shouldn't do in a movie was put in that movie. And then in The Knowing, it was supposed to be some kind of like horror movie, and I was just like, everything you don't do in a horror movie, you do in this movie. Basically. You know what I mean? And I was just like, or it was supposed to be like a Judgment Day type movie too, so it was like a mixture, and I was just like. It didn't know what it wanted to be. It had an identity crisis, and I was just like, okay, this is where this and this and this, and then ever since then I was like, okay, I'm starting to think about certain movies, and then the one that made me really dive deep was when Justice League came out. That's when I really tore that one to shreds. But those 2 movies were just insane for me, and I'm just like, Nicolas Cage, bro. I love you, but sometimes, bro, what are you doing?
You gotta, like, you know what I mean? There's a fine line Nicolas Cage draws where he's just like, okay, I would do this for a check, and then I'm gonna really try for this one. Like,
yeah. So,
man.
those are kind of it, and I was fairly young when I got those movies, so it was interesting, very interesting. So before we get to the fun questions and to like our kind of like our movie taste and who we prefer and stuff, one last question in this kind of ourselves, we kind of discussed a little bit about our goal, right?
Yeah.
Like what we want as our outcome. So what is the genre you dislike the most in movies, and which, if you can think of a movie that's in that genre that would, if you really had to, you'd give it a try to see if it will pull you within it.
Okay, so I have two, just thinking about it. So the first one, I know you're gonna hate me for it, but it's horror. It's really hard for me to get into it. Like I said, I've analyzed these movies, so it's really captivating to be like it takes real fucking, you know what I mean? Like I've seen a bunch, like Jeepers Creepers and whatever else I've seen.
Okay.
And you know, it was never really like, oh, that's gross. It's more of like, okay, I guess, you know what I mean? Like I know jump scare's gonna happen here. This person's gonna die. I know the tropes basically. But the one that you showed me, there's probably two that in recent memory that you showed me. You know what I mean? The first was the Evil Dead, the 2014 one.
Yeah.
There was that one that kind of got me like, whoa, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then and then the other one, The Barbarian. So those were two in recent memory where I could be like, okay. But everything before that, I was kind of like, oh boy. You know what I mean?
What about like The Conjuring and stuff? Did that one ever get you?
The Conjuring got me. And then the rest of them, I kind of was just like.
So you're not really slasher, not very slashery. I would
guess
say.
that makes
not slasher horror.
Yeah,
like you don't like Jason Voorhees stuff.
Like if there's a physical person to it, then I'm kind of like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I can't see.
It has to really captivate you. It has to be more realistic in your opinion. Okay, I get you. And more logical, and that makes sense on your part. Yeah,
and then I guess the imagination comes in where. I love the Insidious movies. I know we just talked about it, but like the first one to this day still gets me. Like I actively forget that one just so I can be like, damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That one and then Sinister, the first one. But these are old movies.
Yeah.
So like I rewatched them around Halloween time just so I can, feel it, but if you were to show me like any other ones, I'd be like, okay, I know this is coming. I'm not going to jump to that,
Yeah.
And then the other one, romance. It's very hard to get me to like a romance movie type because I only like a few. But like if it's like lovey-dovey stuff like The Notebook, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
Like I watch Hitch. Hitch is like my favorite one, and then Her with Joaquin Phoenix. That one's really good. But like there's a fine line between what I like with romance movies and scary movies, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But
I get you.
You man, what are yours?
So. I'm one of those who will try everything. I don't really dislike, if that makes sense. Like I give everything fair play, but if I want to say my least one is biography movies. I hate those.
I like biopics.
Yeah, like biopics, like Elvis. What's the one with Elton John with?
Oh, Rocket Man.
Rocket Man, and I know Edgar. Turringen or
something like that.
Yeah, the dude that came out in what's that movie? Secret Service. Is that
the Kingsman.
The Kingsman. There you go. I know he's in it, but I just haven't got it. Bohemian Rhapsody, that one too. When it comes down to those movies, like I've seen Notorious, I like that one. I have to really know those people, or I gotta really want to watch it. And even then I don't like to watch it because I can't believe that everything on there is real. Because behind closed doors you never know what happens, and they exaggerate. They have to exaggerate for drama purposes and everything, and I'm just like, if it's too, like I said, it has to captivate you. If it's too real life and it doesn't even try to like drag you in, and it's kind of just like, oh, it's just a bunch of gossip on screen, to be honest, because this is what they think happened, so that's what they're doing on screen. You know what I mean? There's a few of them that I'm like, okay, I can watch, and I do my research and I have like real life reference for it, and I'll get past it sometimes, but there's times where I'm just like, no, I can't watch it. Like Selena, I'm good with that one. Like, that one's cool
Mhm.
because I think I grew up with it. But there's some of them where I'm just like, I just can't, man. It's not good for me.
That's interesting because I like some biopics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some of them are okay
Like-
if I'm really interested.
Like I watched Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mhm.
I like that one. Love that one. And then I've seen Notorious B.I.G. And then I watched the recent, or I call it recent, but the latest Tupac movie.
Oh, yeah.
That one was pretty good.
I want to see the one on Hulu that they put out about him and his mom.
Oh, his mom, yeah.
Yeah,
And then I like N.W.A. I like that one. Or Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I like that one too.
I didn't get around to seeing Elvis. I know I have to, but I haven't gotten around to it. Or the Elton John one, but I hear that one's really good.
I know. I heard
So
it was
I like
good
a
too.
few of them. You know, they like
The Daniel Radcliffe one, the Weird Al Yankovic one.
Yeah, like I think you really do have to kind of be like a big fan of them to know. Like,
Yeah.
I like Queen, so I did watch Bohemian Rhapsody in theaters. And fun fact about that one, I watched that one late at night, so it was me, my homies, and a couple other people. It was a really empty theater, but man, like when they started singing the songs on the screen, everyone in the theater, like the few of us in there, started singing with them. A very, very nice moment.
It was a very like kumbaya
Yeah,
moment. You guys
yeah.
were just like vibing in the theater.
Yeah.
That's tight.
That
That's
was very
tight.
cool stuff.
I would like that too. I think the last one I seen in theater was Straight Outta Compton, and a lot of people in that theater could not sing the lyrics of that one. So
That makes sense.
yeah, we couldn't have that.
yeah, that makes sense.
Everybody was just standing around like,
Who's gonna say it?
oh yeah. So that's very good, very good. So moving on.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and get down to the nitty gritty. This is where we're really gonna see the divide or the similarities
Yeah.
within us too.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and hit up the top 5. Your top 5 of your best movies that you can think of off top.
Okay. So, best movies. Okay. So, in no particular order, it goes Spider-Man 2, Man of Steel, Goodfellas. I know I mentioned that one. Rocky 3, and then Top Gun Maverick. I can't. For Spider-Man 2, that's self-explanatory. Like, that one is just, for me, that one is just
Yeah.
the peak. Like, if you, like, I feel like whenever I'm down, I can watch that one. Same with Man of Steel. Like, I throw them in the same boat, and I'm like, these movies kind of make me feel good. You know what I mean? There's a vibe to them that make me feel very, like, you know,
So
hopeful type.
mostly comic book movies.
Mostly,
I can tell
yeah.
on your list.
And then Goodfellas, I talked about that a little bit. I like mob movies. So if it wasn't this one, it was gonna fight with Casino, or I watched The Irishman. Like, those movies really, they really just bring it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Rocky 3. Maybe this one's a little bit controversial, but the Rocky franchise, I think, peaks here with 3. And I know I've talked to you about 4.
Okay.
I do like 4, but I think 3 is where it hits. And you're like,
Rocky 3?
Rocky 3.
Oh, okay, not Creed 3.
No, Rocky 3.
Okay.
And you're kind of like, this is the epitome of everything. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Rocky 4 happens. And Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick was it made the list, and you know it's more recent than the last couple movies I just listed, but something about that movie, man, like the action scenes, the storytelling, Tom Cruise does phenomenal in this one, like perfect legacy sequel. So
Yeah.
like that one had to fall on my list.
Okay. Okay.
But what about you? Your top 5.
All right, my top 5. In no particular order. But my top 5 is Nightcrawler with
Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Zack Snyder's Justice League is my other one.
Okay. Fair enough.
My third is Lovely Bones. The Lovely
Ooh,
Bones.
Okay.
My fourth one is Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
So we kind of have.
Yep.
And my fifth one is John Q.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
Nightcrawler, because Jake Gyllenhaal, he's my guy. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. He like, I think what really cemented this movie for me was the dedication he put into this role. How insane he actually looked throughout the movie. Like, I don't know why he doesn't get enough love, but like he is one of the best, I think, method actors doing it right now, because he does a lot of his own work too. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but I think he does it right. And then also, like, he's willing to transform his body for roles. Like, I know a lot of actors do that, but the intensity, and fun fact, I think we talked about it on another episode, but like, he went from Southpaw being that ripped to Nightcrawler
Yeah.
in a year.
Yeah.
So he really like did what he had to do for that. But that movie's just superb. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's great. Next up is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, he's a visionary. He's great.
Very much.
I was like, he needs to make a top 5 list all the time,
Very
and
much
it was.
so, yeah.
I was really thinking that or 300 because 300 is magnificent too.
Yeah.
But I think for him, the one that really takes the cake is Zack Snyder's Justice League. It really takes that culmination of all the, Man of Steel, the ones that you really have on your list, and give us that satisfaction, but also leaving us with more.
For sure.
So that one's a really great one. Now, this one, The Lovely Bones. Fun fact, I don't know if I ever told you this, but this is the first movie that ever made me like misty-eyed, like in a theater.
Okay.
Like I was watching this movie and I was like, and I mean, I was like young, and I think this was like a movie I got roped into seeing by somebody, I think a girl or something, whatever. And I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I was sitting there and I was like, this movie's actually really good. And I was like, what the fuck? And by the end of it, I was like cheering, like, yeah, fuck that guy, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a great movie, and I think that one, like, when I say movies need to draw you in, that movie really draws you in, not only with like the story but the visuals, like how they told the story was great. And I don't know, that movie's superb. I don't think it gets talked about enough in this world, but I think that movie's like well done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well done.
Now that you mentioned it,
Yeah, huh?
That's it.
And Goodfellas, like how you said, a lot of the mob tropes were put into this one, but at the same time it was done well. It was a great movie. Ray Liotta in this one was great. Robert De Niro in this one was great. Joe Pesci in this one was magnificent. Sure. I love Goodfellas. Goodfellas is always like a mob movie that I know a lot of people say The Godfather. Always go to The Godfather. But my mob movies is Goodfellas and Casino. Those two are like, I put you on Casino. I put you on that one.
Yeah. Those are like, for me, those are just the standard. You know what I mean? Like, they came out really good. Oh man.
And then for John Q, like I said, same thing. This captivating story, and you wouldn't think that I would be able to relate to this now as I relate to this now as a father. This movie, like, a whole lot more. Like this movie, like when I was younger, I really felt for it and I loved it, and I was like, yeah, this is what storytelling is, this is how they attract you. And then as I got older, now having my own kids, grew up older, I was like, man, this movie was a masterpiece. Like, no way that this isn't talked about enough either. Like, it's a classic. Like, they're like, if you watch it as a kid and fell for it, watch it as an adult. It'll hit you harder. That movie is magnificent. Denzel does his thing. I love Denzel Washington, bro. But with that, let's go ahead and hear the top. A quick riff. What would you recommend to people? I know, like, the top 5 is like our personal favorites, and before we recommend, let's dissect that, right? Let's dissect your 5, my 5.
Okay.
Yours was more comprised by comic booky movies, right?
Yeah.
And where mine's had a comic book movie in there, but mine's was more grounded, story driven. I would have to say, less spectacle, but more emotional. If that makes sense. And I think with my top 5, the reason why it's like that, it's stacked like that, is more because, like I said, and I said it this whole episode, is that, drag me in. And if you can pull on my emotions, and a lot of people can say, like, as a man, it's really hard to, for, the emotions and the heartstring to be pulled. So I'm over here like, y'all are able to draw me in like this, and not a lot of movies could do that, because, like I said, I've seen The Fault in Our Stars, and I know people cried in that movie. That shit sucked. That movie is ass. I hate it so much. It didn't even do what it needed to do. And how you say, like, you don't like romance, I kind of like romance because it gives you that, that feeling of love and everything like that sometimes, and even though, like, Lovely Bones is not centered on love, you can tell the love is there, not in a, boyfriend girlfriend aspect, but from all dynamics in the family. You know what I mean?
The familiar love.
Exactly.
It's different.
Yeah. So it's it's great. And then John Q too, love, but love for his son. You know what I mean? Father son kind of love.
Yeah.
Very intense movies. Nightcrawler 2, not love but passionate about his work. Passionate about
to the point where
he'll do anything.
Yeah, he'll break grounds for that shit.
Exactly. And you know, it's a reflection of the person that you are in a way, you know. So it's kind of like that's why I kind of see our differences between our movies, where yours is very CGI and more, you know, technical. You need more into your kind of movies, I guess.
I think mine are, they just kind of represent like hope and like the what every person should strive to be. You know what I mean? A better person. Like Spider-Man 2. You know what I mean? Like sacrifices must be made to be a good man. You know what I mean? Man of Steel. He's controversial stuff around that movie, but I personally think
you got to break an alien's neck.
that movie represents hope and what Superman stands for.
Yeah.
I think. And then Goodfellas. While this one is more grounded, it's more of like what boundaries will the man go just to feel that power? You know what I mean? And kind of like how Nightcrawler was a little bit, but just more of like mob. Yeah,
respectable. Mobs had rules, and you had to play rules.
Rocky 3, the what is it? I've said it before. The indomitable human will, if that's what you want to call it. He gets beaten, humiliated. He grabs himself by his bootstraps, and he gets back there to beat Clubber Lang. That's standard. Like, if I don't think we have a question on sports movies, but that's top 5 for sure. And then Top Gun Maverick, that was just an experience.
Yeah,
that one was just so like phenomenal. Tom Cruise does his thing. A very perfect legacy sequel, and that's just it.
Perfect movie too if it beats out the original. You feel
Honestly,
me?
Yeah, for sure.
So let's jump into our recommended. So Josh, go ahead and tell us what you would recommend people to watch if they listen.
Okay. So if I had, I'm gonna go down my list and break it down. Okay. So I mentioned this one earlier. Her, Joaquin Phoenix. I don't have the director's name, but it's Joaquin Phoenix and ScarJo. So the quick synopsis, it's based around the future. Man basically he falls in love with AI, if that makes any sense. And it's like, I know I don't really like romantic movies, but this one made me cry. This one was so good. I couldn't describe it. I just check it out when you get the chance. Those listening. Goodfellas, we talked about it quite a bit. Again, you can totally watch The Godfather, but I think for a Martin Scorsese movie, and if you really want those performances, they bring to the table that, unfortunately, I think what's his name? Scarface.
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino doesn't really bring. I think Pesci, De Niro, and Liotta, their chemistry sort of just on screen, it really works. It sucks that we didn't really get another project with all 3 of them on it before his passing, but it does something for sure. Now, a classic, Back to the Future. I think everyone has to see this movie once.
I mean, if you haven't seen it by now, it's 2023. Time to get it together.
Honestly, it's such a classic. The story, the music, it really brings out the style in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. If it wasn't this one, The Breakfast Club. But moving on to my last one, because we did say like 4, right? 4?
Yeah, 4 or 5, whatever.
5. Okay.
Until you're done, if you want.
My last one, Good Will Hunting.
Okay.
I think
a little bit deeper. I didn't even know you knew that movie.
Yeah. So this one really hits. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking for a deep story and you're looking for something with a bit of meaning behind it, it has Ben Affleck, young Matt Damon, and then rest in peace, Robin Williams. He's in there. Great performance. Such a good movie. Check those out if you haven't.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Any more?
Nope, no, that's it.
All right.
Off rip. Yeah.
All right. So the ones that I would recommend, and I think is a lot of my flavor is, I would say Casino. That's one. I know I already said Goodfellas, so it is my top 5 best movies overall. So I mean, if you guys want to check that out, go ahead. But Casino, Casino's great. Robert De Niro's back. Joe Pesci's back.
Yep.
Just a dynamic. Those guys. Casino is pinnacle mob movie for me. You know what I mean? Peak for me. A little bit more grittier than Goodfellas in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So I think that's what I like more is the blood and the gore and the extra mile that they go to show that. And for me, like I love that shit. I love horror. I like seeing that extra. So Casino's a great watch. I have a couple. I told you I know I said only 3 or 4, but like I think about it and I'm just like, oh, it's really hard. So I'm just gonna run down them quick. So I was thinking 2 Ben Affleck movies, Pearl Harbor and Gone Girl.
Ooh,
Pearl Harbor, obviously a classic. If you guys haven't seen it, it's about World War II. Ben Affleck gives a performance. I think the story is amazing, dramatic but amazing. I think it's worth a watch. Also, Gone Girl is a great suspenseful thriller. It keeps you on your toes. Honestly, the first time I watched it, I was just like, what the fuck's going on? If you guys haven't heard it yet, Ben Affleck's a master class actor. Like, I love him as an actor, and he's really great in this role in Gone Girl. Another movie, very grounded, very gritty, is Fury. I recommend Fury to the fullest.
That one's so good.
Logan Lerman's in it. James Gunn. All right, if you didn't know who he is, Logan Lerman's in it. John Berthal, Brad Pitt, Michael Pena. Like it stacked ensemble cast, and shows you just how gritty war could be, how dedicated these actors were to this movie. The gore was there, the blood was there. Like Saving Private Ryan on steroids, in my opinion. That shit was
really good.
Intense. That movie's great. Another couple, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, was Panic Room is one of them, and Misery. Panic Room is a great movie. It's a great suspenseful. It has Jodie Foster when she was at her peak, in my opinion. I think she's a great actress, but I think it's a young Kristen Stewart. She's in that movie as well, and so it's a great watch. And Misery, Kathy Bates. I need to say. Do I need to say any more? If you've seen her in American Horror Story, you know what to expect from her. And I think I know they made a remake of it, but I think it's the better adaptation of the Stephen King novel, in my opinion. And the last one that I couldn't go without saying, and it kind of showed me my love for this actor, is Phone Booth with Colin Farrell. So suspenseful, such a tiny premise, such a small like story, but it's so grand.
So
I think
self-contained.
so self-contained, but it's great. It builds that suspense to the very end. You know what I mean? The intensity. I watched that when I was a kid, and I still watch it till this day. It still gives me that fucking chill, that intensity. The cell phones are way outdated for that movie. Phone Booth as a premise is so outdated as a movie, but it is what it is.
People are just gonna be like, "What the fuck is that?"
But yeah, those what I recommend. I know I went a little bit longer, but it's just I couldn't make up my mind.
Ones.
Yeah.
I was
Worthy.
Kind of jealous. I didn't even think about those ones, but yeah.
All right, worthy though.
Very, very worthy.
Yes. All right. So let us hear your guilty pleasure movie. Okay. I need to hear it.
I have a few. I have a few that I decided to list. All right. So this was a no-brainer, but Suicide Squad, I really like that one. I don't know what it is.
James Gunn's?
No, hell no. I could not sit through that shit one more time. But I don't like, as choppy as it is, as messed up as it is, it just makes it just does something. You know what I mean? Like, as for as short as it is, I really enjoy it. I don't know what it is. Like it's garbage, but it's my garbage.
Yeah.
You know
okay.
I mean?
I get you. Yeah.
And then you can probably go hate me for this one, but Morbius.
Damn.
I watched that one not as often as you think, but I will go back and revisit it a couple times. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I like Jared Leto. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I really like him as an actor. It does something. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
not the best, and it probably is the worst. But I check it out, and then, my obvious pick is Black Adam. I rewatched that one. I don't know what it is. I really like.
You will watch it when it is your guilty pleasure because I never catch you fucking
Yeah,
lacking.
see,
That's
so
why.
I enjoy it. I don't know what it is. Like, I enjoyed it enough in theaters that I just keep coming back to it. It's
Mhm.
so weird.
Interesting.
Those are my three.
Interesting.
Do you have any guilty pleasure movies?
Yes, and I don't know if you know about it, and it's probably not super known, so it's not too bad. But one is Bubble Boy. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's Jake Gyllenhaal when he was like completely younger, and it's just this goofy fucking movie of a kid that needs to stay in a bubble his whole time. If you haven't seen it, I'll show it to you. But it's so bad. But it's so funny at the same time because, and especially me watching it now, I'm just like, oh my god, like this was so good when I was a kid, but now I'm just like, oh, I wouldn't let anybody know.
Yeah.
And then also another guilty pleasure movie or movies, I would say, is all the parody movies. I love like Epic Movie and like all those stupid ass movies. Scary Movie 1, 2, and 3 are my shit, bro. 4 and 5, I don't even care what they say. Like it's that stupid dumb comedy that makes me giggle.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I can't even be mad. And once in a while I revisit it, like I'll like rewatch them, like that 300 one parody one. That shit was stupid.
Meet the Spartan.
Yeah, that
like
one.
That?
The Twilight one. That one was stupid too. Those are my guilty pleasure. Like I don't nobody catches me watching them, but I watch them once in a while. So
I don't think it's Epic Movie. What's that one with Amy Adams? Where she plays like the fat chick, I think. You know which one I'm talking about? I think that's Amy Adams. I could be wrong.
No, it's the other girl. It's
the chick. I think it's the chick from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, it's Epic Movie.
Is it?
Is it Epic Movie?
No.
Date Movie.
Date Movie. That one makes me laugh.
That one's funny.
That one's funny.
Just a little Jesus juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are. I guess those are my like.
I guess that's fair. That would make sense.
Yeah, those are the ones I hide. Like
those ones make me laugh
forever. You're never gonna catch me fucking watching those.
I think if I walk in and see you watching Scary Movie 4 and 5, though, I'd gas. I'd be like, "What are you watching?" 1 through 3, 1 and 2 are passable. 3 slides by barely, like he barely makes it. But 4 and 5, bro, come on.
It's okay. I mean, okay. I think it's 4, the one with the dancing like germs. I think that's where I was like, I gotta cut this off. There was like twerking germs. So I was like, oh my god.
I think it's the 5th one. The 5th one does make me kind of laugh, but it's weird that they kind of made it a little more meta than it was used to.
Yeah.
But I think it's that one where it has Mama in it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the hair moving through the floor and it jumps up and starts punching the dude.
Yeah.
That's the only scene where it makes me fucking die. And Snoop Dogg and Mac Miller are in it. So
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
So can't knock you entirely, but I think if I'd see you watching, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So those are hilarious. What is a movie that you loved back then, but you watch it now and you're just like, I can't watch that shit?
Okay. So 2 came to mind. I'm going to say Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, because I did used to like that one. But now you're kind of like, this feels really low budget for some reason. Like, it looks aesthetically pleasing, but when it comes down to it, there's not much, like, camera work, and the jokes are kind of lame, and, like, peeing out a flamethrower. It's cool. Again, aesthetically cool.
Yeah.
What's it doing in the movie?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Some of the lines in that movie, too, kind of
you might hate me for this one, but we recently watched The Chronicles of Riddick, and that one doesn't hold up to me as much as it used to.
Yeah, I get that, too.
Those are my only 2, I think.
Yeah. I was thinking of Spirit of Vengeance, but I was like, that's too on the nose. I was like, that's too much. But you're on the money with that one. And I already talked about it, but a lot of Nicolas Cage movies it really got me like that. Because I'm not going to lie. I used to watch a lot of them because they were like straight to streaming and they were just like there. And I loved them as an actor. So just for shits and giggles, kind of like with Bruce Willis. I know he has a lot of like movies out and I love him as an actor. And even though he puts out some doozies, I'm just like, I still want to watch you sometimes.
They chase checks.
Yeah, so I think the one that really like had me hooked in the beginning was Drive Angry, and it was because of the ending scene where like the music plays and everything. I don't know if you've seen it ever, but I'll show it to you one day. But like the music's ending and it makes you feel like super happy about the movie, and I was like, I would always like think like this movie is so good, but then I would think about it, I'd be like, it's so bad, and I would be like, why do I like it so much? And it's literally just because of the ending. I kid you not. It leaves me happy at the end, so I'm just like, I forget about all the bullshit. But now that I realize it as an adult, I fucking hate it, bro. I fucking hate it. But I'm willing to show you just so you can have context.
I think my favorite John Travolta movie, I know you didn't ask, but I think I keep saying John Travolta. Nicolas Cage. Nick Cage. Movie. I keep getting them mixed up because it's Face Off.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was probably my favorite.
I love that movie. That movie's great. That should have been a recommended.
I know you didn't ask. Well, no. I mean, I don't think I'd recommend it to people. It's kind of risque by today's standards.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
For real?
I think if you were caught watching it to this day, you'd be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it's really bad. You know? Damn. Crazy. But yeah, they did ballsy with that one. Yeah. But, so... what's your favorite animated movie?
I have a few, because I don't know what it is. I like animated movies too.
Okay.
But there's only a few where I can literally sit down, watch them, and be like, this is it. So I've mentioned them before. Hercules. I like my musicals. That's one of my favorite ones. Tarzan. Such a good story and soundtrack. And then Rise of the Guardians. That's a DreamWorks one.
Okay.
Those are my top 3. Very good stuff.
Animation, Disney wise, I don't know. I could say the classics, but I'm not really gonna go there. Yeah. I would just say I love everything Illumination puts out, like Secret Life of Pets. I love the Minions movies, the Gru movies. I love all those. I did put down Rise of the Guardians as well because I find like they found the perfect balance with that one, where it was like an Avengers type of like holiday movie. So it was great. That I felt like that was a great mixture.
It has like a deeper premise.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like at the root of it, you're like, you gotta keep your childhood alive and think about these people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Santa and the Sandman and Jack Frost. Like the deeper meaning is fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Immaculate.
Yeah.
Obviously, peak for me is the Iron Giant. But if I really want to throw one in there too, it has to be Tarzan, bro. It has to be Tarzan. Has to be one of my top ones too. At least one from Disney, and if it's a classic too. Tarzan's great, but I'd say favorite all time, I would have to give it to Rise of the Guardians. I think they really perfected that shit.
Favorite of all time. Tarzan. I think it's still Tarzan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, honorable mentions, I'd say, because you just got me thinking about them. I'm going to say Lilo and Stitch, Kung Fu Panda 3.
Oh.
I really like that one.
Very good.
Like, the first two, I like the first one. The
second one was okay.
I didn't really vibe with the second one, but the third one, that one really hit.
Pristine.
And then the obvious one in recent years is Puss in Boots, the Last Wish. Every time that one's on, I kind of just stop what I'm doing and I watch it. Like, I don't know what it is. It came out really good.
Oh, you know which animated one that I loved as a kid, but looking back at it now is kind of horrific, is Space Chimps.
Oh, I remember Space Chimps. Yeah.
That shit's horrific now.
Shit is so bad.
That, like, I think the other day I seen the trailer for it and I seen how, like, nasty the animation was.
Very
stiff. It was, yeah, I used to love that one as a kid, though, but it's horrific now, for sure.
Very bad stuff.
So, to top this off, who is your favorite actor, best actor? If you have a couple other ones, that's fine. You can, if it's too hard to pick one, go ahead. Because I have a couple that it was just too hard to pick. And who is your worst? And I had a few of those too.
Okay, so I have. I'm gonna give you my best, and then I'm gonna give you my favorite, and then I'll give you honorable mentions before giving you the worst.
Okay, let's go.
So, the best actor, in my opinion, Leonardo DiCaprio. The best so far. The fact that he just barely won an Oscar is beyond me, but man,
because maybe he's not that good. Maybe he's overrated.
Hey, whoa! No, shut up. My favorite actor, Pedro Pascal. I know he's just recently blowing up or whatever because people are because of Mando and things like that. But he does good work. Mm-hmm. Honorable mentions. I've said him before. Joaquin Phoenix. I loved him in Her, and then he's obviously the Joker. Robert De Niro. You gotta give the props to Robert De Niro.
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson, very good. And then I think to round it all off, I want to say, just to fill in my slot, I want to say, not Robert Downey Jr. I was gonna say that, but then I was like, no, not really. Thinking about his whole filmography, nah. I think I'm gonna give it to Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
Very, very cool stuff.
All right. So then, wait, before you say your worst, let me say my best too, and then we'll go to the worst. Okay. So I'll do it your way. My favorite actor is Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. He's the one that I will go see any movie in. Like, he does great work. Any movie. I think he's like top tier.
Yeah.
Best actor right now, I don't know if maybe it's because of like his consistency. It's Tom Cruise to me. I think he's the best actor. I think he's whatever he puts out, it's gold. I mean, I think the only one where it kind of flopped was Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, but that was only because of like source material shit, whatever. And then marketing didn't want to promote it because of the source material feud that was going on with the writer or whatever. And honorable mentions, you already know, Bruce Willis, love that dude, fucking great. Nicolas Cage, hey, what can I say? He's Nick Cage. We got to put him in there. John Travolta, even though he fell off, I think he was a great actor when he was there. Yeah, exactly. Who else can I think of? Robert Downey Jr. is obviously one for sure. I want to say a couple females to give them recognition. Anne Hathaway, she's fucking great.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's an amazing actress. Angelina Jolie, when she was in her prime. I think today she's kind of sloping a little bit, but I don't think she takes a lot of roles like before. Mila Kunis, if you guys haven't seen this one movie on Hulu, she plays like this anorexic like druggie, like it's crazy. She really dedicates herself to that role, and it's immaculate. I think if she wasn't chasing around children right now, she'd be making way more movies. Brendan Fraser too. He doesn't get enough credit. I think when I mean, now I hear he's making a comeback. I haven't seen The Whale yet. I was hoping to see him in Batgirl, but that's gone.
Damn, right off.
But like when he was younger, he was killing it. Comedy, serious movies, anything like that. And I think last but not least, or two more. Jason Bateman, love him. Comedy, being serious, it doesn't matter the role, he does it. And I gotta say, everybody knows Ben Affleck, but what's his name? Matt Damon. Matt Damon does great. I love him in that Elysium movie. I think he does great in the Bourne movies, though some scenes can be questionable. I think he does amazing in those movies as well, because he's fucking Jason Bourne. I know we just recently watched Life Sizing, and that was kind of disappointing. But
that shit was so
other than that, I think he's a good honorable mention.
Couple more.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Now I got him in my fucking head. Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
He deserves to be in my list.
He's such a nice guy.
He spaced out on me for some reason.
He's such
but he deserves his flowers. James McAvoy.
Keep it a buck though. I'm not gonna hold you. That last Matrix movie almost pegged him down a couple more. I'm just saying, it kind of put him down a little bit. I'm just saying.
Wait. No, you don't.
It was really that bad though.
We don't talk about that one. We don't. What fourth one?
Yael Mateen II. He's a good actor today too. In Candyman, I don't know if you've seen it. I gotta show it to you. If not, I gotta show it to you. He does really well in that movie.
James McAvoy, I think he does pretty good.
He can act the shit out of it. But where are the females, dude? What are you hate women?
No. Although, I mean, to be fair, the market's dominated by those men. So,
I think Halle Berry is good. I think Charlotte Therion, whatever her name is, right? Charlie Theron. She plays Cypher in Fast and the Furious.
Oh.
The girl, the one with the short hair. She does really good. I don't know if you've seen Atomic Blonde, but she does great in that one. There's this great one-shot scene in that movie that she does on her own. It's great.
Sandra Bullock's
great.
Loved her in Gravity.
No, recently. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of her look and the way like she did Botox and everything, but she's kind of like falling off for me.
What is her name? She
Halle Berry in Kidnapped though, she was really great.
damn, what is that? She plays Yelena. What's her name?
Plays Elena.
In the MCU, what is her name?
Oh, Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh. I think she does really good, and she has the potential to grow.
Yeah, 100%.
I just had another one on the tip of my tongue too.
I'd say Jonathan Majors too, but at the same time, he's going through it.
He's going through it, but I think you can still recognize him for what he's done.
Yeah. I think he's a phenomenal actor with potential, but just sucks that he's probably going to be untapped potential and probably tossed. So we'll have to wait to see with that. But let's stop giving praises. We can go all day. There's a lot of actors, Robert De Niro. But like, let's hear your worst. I want you to shit on somebody.
Okay. I don't really like. I mean,
disclaimer: if you guys love these actors, this is all opinion. So if we shit on them, my bad, because there's a couple doozies on mine.
Okay. So to be fair, a couple did hit my list. Kevin Hart. I don't like Kevin Hart as an actor. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I can see that. I feel like he does the same thing every single time.
Exactly.
I gotta be in my place, and I gotta do this to be in my place, and I'm just
it doesn't work. Rebel Wilson. Don't really like her.
I don't like her either.
Something McCarthy. I can't remember her full name, her first name.
Melissa.
Don't like her.
I don't like her either. She's gonna be playing Ursula too, and I'm kind of worried about that.
Yeah. See, so I don't really like her. I'm
just in the same minds with yours, so you can think too. But
yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really like that guy. He plays the same dude every single time. He was tolerable in the Transformers movies. In the Ted movies, he was funny. But, like, for the most part, like, he played this priest in this one movie recently. And I was like, what
the boxer priest one?
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing, guy? Like, what kind of movies you're making?
Yeah.
The Happening? Why Mark Wahlberg? Why him? I was just like, oh, God, yeah. I would just say, I mean, I think he does decent in some movies, and they're made for him, but other than that, not really, no.
Okay.
No.
I guess that's fair.
Jennifer Lawrence.
You don't like Jennifer Lawrence?
Not really.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Nah. I was trying to watch, what's that one that she did with Bradley Cooper? I was trying to watch that one because
the Silver Linings Playbook?
Yeah, because of Bradley Cooper, but it was unwatchable for me because of her. I didn't really... I like her in the X-Men movies, but then even in, like, the Dark Phoenix one, like, you can tell she was slipping. And I was just like, this is annoying. Like, she's not consistent. That's the problem with her.
Oh, yeah.
So seeing her in this upcoming one is going to be a test for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
I want to just shit on Jaden Smith, too. I don't like him as a...
Yeah, no, he's not.
I think in The Pursuit of Happiness he did okay, but in After Earth, that I would have to say that's a guilty pleasure too, because I do enjoy that movie as well. It's just his acting is kind of abysmal, just a little bit.
You know who? You know, Tracy Morgan.
I actually like him.
I don't really like him.
I actually like him.
I don't know what it is. I think he play like he always given small roles, and then I kind of just. To me, I think it's his voice and how not distinct it is, but every joke he delivers feels the same. So I don't vibe with that.
Okay. I mean, I could see that too.
Like we were watching Fist Fight yesterday, and I was like, he's not really making me laugh. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I had more time. I had more fun time.
There's one movie that he cracks me up 100%. I just don't remember what the movie was. And
is it the one with not Andy Samberg. What is his name? The dude that plays Lex Luthor. Is you talking about that one?
Lex Luthor? Jesse Eisenberg?
Yeah, the one he plays with. He has the movie with him where he has like a bomb strapped to his chest. Are you talking about that one?
Oh yeah, that one's funny too. Yeah, that one. That one's hilarious too. But I'm talking more of I don't remember what it's called. If I remember what it's called, I'll let you know later. But I like him in some movies. More than none. First Sunday, I think he's hilarious in that one with Ice Cube in them. I think it bounces better when it's people who could be wacky with him, kind of thing. That's why I think I like him in some movies. But I think he's more I think he's as consistent as Mark Wahlberg, if I think about it.
Yeah.
So, what other ones? I want to shit on a couple girls. Jessica Chastain. I don't like her. I don't like her as an actress. I know some people do, but just her name is just disgusting. I hate it too. I don't really like her.
That's what's up.
Yeah. To be honest, if I want to keep it a buck, I don't like the girl that plays Ellie in The Last of Us. I don't really like her as a actress either. That's just me.
Yeah, that is just you. No. I don't know. I thought she did fine, but we're not gonna talk about that because that's not fair. She's only been in that project.
Yeah.
Can't judge her whole thing off that.
Yeah, but and I think that's it. I don't really think I have any more. Jessica Alba wasn't 100% either when she had a career. Like, she was cool in some movies, but she wasn't 100%. I liked her because she was eye candy, though.
I know I'm trying to think of another one, but it's not coming to mind. I don't like Jada Pinkett Smith.
You don't like her? Not even in the Matrix movies?
Not really, no.
She was kind of bland.
She was. And then, like, even when you watch Gotham, I know you haven't seen that show in, like, forever, but I recently started rewatching it. Every time she's on screen, I hate her. And it's not because of, like, outside stuff, but her acting chops is just remind me of Jada. It's like it's bad.
Yeah, that's probably where you got his acting chops. But
you can get it from Will.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. We're going to have the best of them. We're going to have the worst of them. It's at the end of the day, they do their best
with what's given,
and we judge them off what they produce, not what their personal stuff is. Even though I have something against Will Smith, I will say he's in one of the better actors category for sure. So that would have to be something too. But in closing, with everything, I hope that you guys listening out there were able to understand us, able to celebrate this 100th episode with us.
For sure.
When you guys hear this, if you guys have any questions you guys wanted to ask us, anything that you disagree with us on, movies that we loved, anything like that, we're all open to hear it. We want to interact with everybody. We want to show, like we said in the beginning, we want to show people that all this stuff is art, and we want to discuss art, and not only just the art that is on screen, but also the art that happens behind the scenes, because everything happens in different sections that make a movie happen. Every once in a while, or if you're DC, you have drama all the time. But like every once in a while, movie studios have drama, and we're here to cover that too. It's always a fun time to do that. But at the end of the day, hearing how the process is put together, when we hear that actors are coming in, you know what I mean? We've been doing this for a few months. We kind of got into that little rotation period where like movies were finishing and we just had a review. Now we're actually seeing movies being built together since we've been doing this podcast as well. You know, actors coming in, you know, you're starting to learn actors' names and who they are. You know, there's a lot of them, so it's going to take a minute, but we got a lot of face to screen type shit. But it's great unfolding into this new adventure, and I'm happy that you guys joined us for at least these first 100 episodes. Josh, would you like to say anything?
No, just stick around because the more are to come, and you know, eventually we'll be at 200 and so on and so forth.
Yeah. But with that being said, Josh, one more time for the 100th episode, where can they let us know if they want to hear anything, if they want to ask us questions that maybe we'll answer on this on one of these episodes, how they can contact us, support us in a big way? Let them know.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FilmBros Podcast. We post when new episodes are up. And like he said, you can let us know about any movies or news you want us to cover. Hell, if you like this whole Q&A thing, ask us questions and we will more than happily answer them on the podcast. If you want to listen to us on the go, Spotify and Apple Podcast at FilmBros Podcast. If you want to support us in a big way, Zippy Stream at FilmBros Podcast. All it takes is a name and an email. If you want to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube, go ahead and do that at FilmBros Podcast.
Yeah, and with that being said, one more time, thank you guys for joining us for that 100th episode special. And we look forward to hearing from you guys.
Talk to you guys later.